What's up YouTube? My name's Kian and I just turned 23 years old. And every year on my birthday, I like to run the numbers and figure out what my net worth is. I find this exercise so inspiring and motivating to look back and see just how far I've come over the past couple of years. And it's also a great time to reflect on some of the decisions you've made in the past so that maybe you can make some adjustments moving forward. And I want to share this with you guys on YouTube because I find that money is such a taboo subject for most people, where I feel like if we all opened up and expressed our feelings and opinions on money, then we can all learn from each other's successes and failures and grow together. And honestly, I love being a little nosy. I love watching these videos from other content creators, and so I want to put my numbers out there for you guys to enjoy. But in no way is this video meant for me to just brag about how much money I have. Everyone has their own financial situation. Some people have less money than me, some people have more money than me, and that's totally fine. Also, a little bit of context about me. As I said, I'm currently 23 years old. I live in the Twin Cities metro area in Minnesota, and I work remotely as a software engineer. So with all that being said, let's get into the numbers. First things first, for anybody who doesn't know already, net worth is calculated by taking your assets minus your liabilities. For assets, that's going to be anything that you own. Think cash in the bank, investment accounts, or the value of your home. And then for liabilities, that's anything that you owe. So think debts, any student loans, mortgages, or credit cards. For me, my liabilities currently sit at zero. Now, I had a very fortunate situation growing up. When I was in high school, my parents paid for all of my expenses. They paid for my entire college tuition, and they helped me out with a bunch of my living expenses while I was going to school. And they helped me purchase my first car. So I didn't have any car loans or student loans, and I got a big head start on life, which I recognize and I'm extremely grateful for, because I know a lot of people out there don't get that. So in my situation, my net worth is just gonna be the value of all of my assets, and I've got quite a few of them, so let's break it down. Starting off with my checking account, which I have through SoFi, and of course my checking account balance fluctuates quite often based on what's coming in and what's going out, but at the time of filming this video, I had $2,542 in it. I usually like to keep at least $1,000 in my checking account at all times, so the $2,500 was a little bit higher than usual. I think I have a couple of credit card payments coming up here, and so that will come back down closer to the $1,000 mark. Next up is my savings account, which I also have through SoFi, and my savings account is basically just my emergency fund. And right now my emergency fund is sitting at $8,428. That roughly equates to 3.5 to 4 months of emergency expenses. And ideally, I'd like to have it at $10,000, which I'm currently working on. And then I'll just let the interest I'm earning on the account build it up from there. But where it sits at $8,400, at least it's over 3 months of emergency expenses, so it's fine for now. All right, next we're gonna move on to my investment accounts, starting with the ones who I get through my employer. So I work for United Health Group, which will play a little factor later in the video, but I get a couple of different investment benefits through them that are all within the Fidelity brokerage accounts. So let's start with those. First up is my Fidelity 401k, in which I invest 6% of every paycheck into this account, and my employer matches up to 4.5%. So when it's all said and done, 10.5% of my income gets invested into this account, and it's grown nicely because of that. Because at this time last year, this account was just over $10,000, but today it is sitting at $22,432. Which reminds me, if you guys want to check out what my net worth was last year, I made a video about that and I'll link it right up here if you guys want to go check that out. But within my 401k, all I'm holding is Fidelity's standard S&P 500 index fund. I figured since I'm young, the S&P 500 usually has the best track record and the highest returns over a long period of time. And so I want to give my money a vehicle in which it can grow the fastest. I do feel like I should move this money into a target date retirement fund because I'm very hands-off on this account. I barely ever look at it. And with the target date fund, all of the money's managed for you. And with my S&P 500 index funds, although it is also pretty safe investment, I will have to do some money moving when I get closer to retirement. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Next up is my Fidelity brokerage account. Now I actually have two brokerage accounts, one within Fidelity and one within Robinhood. And the Fidelity one, which we're gonna go over right now, its only purpose is to store the United Health Group stock that I purchased through my employee stock purchase plan. If you guys aren't familiar with what an employee stock purchase plan is, basically some companies let the employees of said company purchase their stock at a little bit of a discount. For me, I work for United Health Group, so I can buy United Health Group stock at a 10% discount. And currently, this account is sitting at $8,273. My plan with the money in this account is to hold on to it for a year to get that long-term capital gains tax, and then sell it and use it to help me with a down payment towards my first rental property. Or at least that was my plan, but United Health Group seems to be in the news every other week at this point, all for absolutely terrible reasons, and the stock has dropped 60% in the past 7 months. Which is a great segue into my next category, which is my United Health Group restricted stock units, which I got as a sign-on bonus when I first got hired here. The deal I had was that I would get $10,000 as an initial sign-on bonus, and then I would get an additional $20,000 after I completed my first year at the company. And that money would slowly vest over the next 3 years. And so even though this money is technically in my name, I couldn't go out and sell it if I wanted to. Which kind of sucks because the original $30,000 that I got granted at the time is now currently sitting at $14,552. So I got my fingers crossed that UHG makes a big comeback here in the near future. But that's everything that I have within my Fidelity account, so let's move on over to my Robinhood account, in which I house my Roth IRA and my other brokerage account. Starting with my Roth IRA, which is hands down my favorite investment account that I have. I love the versatility of it, I love the tax benefits that I get, and Robinhood actually matches 3% of my contributions into this account. So I max this thing out every year. And I started investing in my Roth IRA back in 2023. And so 3 years later, this account is sitting at $28,178. And every dollar within this account is invested into VOOG, which is Vanguard's S&P 500 index fund, but a little skewed towards the growth side. So it's a little bit higher composition of tech stocks, which I think is great because, of course, the Roth IRA is tax-free when you withdraw your money. And so I want as much gains within this account as humanly possible. So still going with the S&P 500, standard, basic, simple, but a little bit more growth. So hopefully the balance goes higher in the future. Switching gears to the brokerage account I have in Robinhood. Now, this is actually the first investment account I ever opened when I was just 18 years old. And yep, I still have it. This account is currently sitting at $12,082, and the vast majority of the money within it is invested in VOO, which is Vanguard's S&P 500 index fund, just not skewed towards the growth side like it was in my Roth IRA. And then I have about $1,000 invested in miscellaneous stocks and funds because I did a video called AI Chooses My Investment Portfolio for 30 days. You guys can check it out up here. But I'm holding that for a full year, and I'm gonna do an updated version of that video. So if you guys wanna see that, consider subscribing because it'll be coming here in the next year. But the main purpose of this brokerage account is I'm using it as a long-term savings vehicle for an eventual down payment on a house, similar to my employee stock purchase plan brokerage account that I have within Fidelity. Moving on, I actually have another Roth IRA account that I have within Webull, and it's pretty small and pretty insignificant, but I'll throw it on here anyway. This account's currently valued at $155, but it actually has a pretty funny story behind it. When I was still a teenager, I watched a lot of personal finance content here on YouTube, and I found a guy who I won't mention names, and he was like, you have to invest in NIO. It is a EV stock from China, and it's gonna be the next big thing. It's gonna go 10x in the next 2 years. You have to buy it. And being the naive kid that I was at the time, I put all of my $1,500 that I had at the time within this account into this NIO stock. And then 6 months later, it lost 90% of its value, and here we are. And I still keep this account open to this day with all of the money still invested in NIO stock. And it serves as a reminder to me to not just go blindly rush into things without doing my own research first, which I think is a pretty good life lesson. Next up is my Venmo crypto account. And for those of you who don't know, Venmo actually has a credit card, which I used to use a lot for my daily purchases, and they give you cash back that automatically purchases crypto for you. And this account is currently worth $660, and all of it is invested in Ethereum. Which leads me into my biggest account, which is pretty controversial and will need a little bit of explaining, but that is my Coinbase account. So first things first, this account is currently valued at $95,978, and all of it is invested in Ethereum, which I have staked on Coinbase. And yes, I know that is way too big of a position to have within crypto, especially compared to the rest of my portfolio. Because right now it sits at just under 50% of my whole portfolio's value. And ideally, I would like to have that number somewhere between 20 and 30%. I'll admit I'm a firm believer in cryptocurrency, and I have been for quite some time now. I think it has very big potential, and I think it has a very bright future. But I'll also admit I'm a firm believer in balance, and so I do have a plan to get this percentage down a little bit. So I actually haven't invested $1 into cryptocurrency since I turned 20 years old. So it's been a couple of years since then. And my plan is to balance my portfolio, not by selling the crypto that I currently have, but by investing all of my new money, as you can see in my other accounts, into standard broad index funds. And I've been doing a pretty good job so far, because last year at this time, my crypto position was about 55% of my portfolio. Now I've gotten under the 50% mark, and it'll slowly decrease over time. And once I get it down to somewhere between 20 and 30%, I'll restart investing into cryptocurrency a little bit here and there to keep it in that percentage range. But I don't want to sell the money I already have, mainly because I have FOMO, and if I do sell a big chunk of it and then it is the best performing asset in the next couple of years, I'm going to feel like an idiot. But another reason is all of my money in this account is currently within staked Ethereum. And if you guys don't know what staking your cryptocurrency means, basically, you lock up your cryptocurrency, which means you just can't sell it as easily. You can still sell it, but there's a waiting period. You first have to unstake it, and then you can sell it. And in return for that, you get a return yield on your money. Basically, think of it like a dividend yield. And right now, I'm earning about a 2% APY on my Ethereum right now, which is also pretty nice. So yeah, my plan moving forward is to keep all of the money I currently have invested in crypto, but then rebalance my portfolio by investing in my Roth IRA and my 401k to bring that number to a level that I feel more comfortable with. All right, and the last thing that I have on my asset side of the equation is my car. I know a lot of people don't include their car on their net worth statement, but the way that I do it is I go on Kelley Blue Book, I look up the value of my car, and then I take the bottom side of the range that I could sell it at. And I think of it like if I needed the money really bad, I could probably sell it at that price fairly easily. And currently my 2011 red Toyota Prius, absolute beauty of a car, is worth $4,000. And after you add all of those assets up, my net worth at 23 years old comes out to be $197,284. Which is kind of a wildly high number when I look at it now. And I'm pretty proud of myself for being able to build this wealth so quickly on, but I obviously didn't do it alone. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I had so much help from my parents and grandparents, helping me through college, helping me with my living expenses, making sure I didn't need to take out debt, and I could start out my life making good money, starting at a net worth of 0 instead of something deep into the negative. But yeah, that's my net worth at 23 years old. And as far as my plan moving forward, I guess I'm just gonna keep on keeping on. I'm gonna still invest that 6% into my 401k. I'm gonna max out my Roth IRA every year, and I'm gonna try to balance out my crypto position with other investments. And my long-term goal is I wanna be able to buy my first rental property sometime in the next few years. And I think it'd be pretty cool if I could hit $250,000 by the time I turn 24, but I don't really like to set net worth goals because it all depends on market conditions. And if we're in a downturn by the time I calculate my net worth, then it could throw off all my numbers. But that'd be a cool goal to hit, so why not? But if you guys have any thoughts, opinions, or suggestions on things that you think I should be doing with my money differently, please throw it down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear it. Or maybe throw your net worth down below as well. I love reading your guys' comments. It always brings a smile to my face. But that is all I got for you guys today. I appreciate you guys taking the time to come check out this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.